Assalamu alaikum and hello everyone. Welcome to Mathematics with Shahab Yaqub. So now let's look at the third type of sketches, which is about a trig function square. Let's go to the question that is labeled in red. And before that, let me just review the basic. That basic review is about the maximum minimum value. Sine of 0 degrees is 0. That is the same for sine of 180 degrees. That is the same for sine of 360 degrees. Sine of 90 degrees is 1 and sine of 270 degrees is -1. So I'm just focusing on 5 major angles. Which ones are those? They are 0, 180, 360, and sine of 90 is 1, sine of 270 is -1. Now similarly, if I focus on cosine of 0 degrees is 1, that is the same thing as cosine of 360 degrees. And similarly, cosine of 90 degrees is 0, that is the same thing as cosine of 270 degrees. And similarly, cosine of 180 degrees is -1. So these are the 5 major values that we look out for. Cos of 0 is 1, cos of 360 is 1, cos of 90 is 0, cos of 270 is 0, cos of 180 is -1. So now after this basics, this would be that premium existing. It just slipped out. That is this particular question, and now let me get started with this. So now over here, when I get started with this thing, so let me just highlight this. This is paper 1, October, November 2004, and at that time there used to be only one variant, and this is question number 6. Now the question says fx is 5 sine square x plus 3 cos square x. It's defined for this particular domain. Express fx in this form. So first thing, fx in this particular form, totally in terms of sine, stating the values of a and b for 2 marks. Then let me read part 3, state the range of f, that is also for 2 marks. And then there is something in the middle, that is hence find the values of x for which fx is 7 sine x. Now first thing first, the first part and the third part, they are linked. And how are they linked? That is what I'll explain to you. So let's get started with the first part. So the first part is fx is equals to 5 sine square plus 3 cos square. Remember the identity, sine square plus cos square equals to 1. I need everything in terms of sine square. So therefore make cos square x the subject, which is 1 minus sine square. So this is 5 sine square as it is. Instead of cos square, let me write 1 minus sine square. So basically this cos square is replaced with 1 minus sine square. All good, all clear? Open up the bracket. That is 5 sine square plus 3 minus 3 sine square. This becomes 2 sine square plus 3. They have written in the format a plus b sine square x. So this is 3 plus 2 sine square x. This is a plus b sine square x. You should state the value of a and b. So what is the value of a? That is 3. What is the value of b? That is the coefficient of sine square, which is 2. That is how this first part is done for 2 marks. So that is the basic thing. Now let's move to the second part. Now the second part, it says solve this equation, find the values of x for which fx is 7 sine x. Fx is 7 sine x. Fx is this thing, which is right over here. 3 plus 2 sine square x is equals to 7 sine x. Transfer everything to the left hand side. 2 sine square x minus 7 sine x plus 3 is equals to 0. Middle term factorization, which is the heart and soul of pure math. So this is 2 sine square x minus 6 sine x minus sine x plus 3 equals to 0. Let me add a page over here. So now let's take common. This is 2 sine x bracket sine x minus 3 negative 1 sine x minus 3 equals to 0. Therefore, sine x minus 3 bracket 2 sine x minus 1 equals to 0. Therefore, sine x is equals to 3. Therefore, sine x, or let me write the full step, 2 sine x minus 1 equals to 0. Therefore, sine x equals to half. Now, the very first thing is this thing. We know that the maximum value and the minimum value of sine x is 1 and negative 1 respectively. That is for sine x. This is outside of range, therefore rejected. The next one, sine x equals to half. What is the range of values of x between 0 and pi? So now the 4-step method, first and second quadrant. The next one, x lies between 0 and pi inclusive. Basic angle, let us denote it by the symbol alpha. Let alpha be the basic angle. And therefore, sine of alpha is half. It's always calculated with a positive ratio. Therefore, alpha is pi by 6. You should remember the famous angles, the ratios. And last but not the least, x is first quadrant, pi by 6. Second quadrant, pi minus pi by 6. Therefore, this is pi by 6. That is 5 pi by 6. Let me write down these steps in case someone is having a bit of weak basics. So that will be strengthened over here. Don't worry about that. Theta is alpha. Theta is pi minus alpha. Theta is pi plus alpha. Theta is 2 pi minus alpha. This is the first quadrant, that is the second, that is the third, that is the fourth. It's measured anti-clockwise from the x-axis. So anti-clockwise angles are positive. We know that clockwise angles are negative. And then also you should remember A, S, T and C. So these are the answers for this particular part. Now let's go to the last part. 3 plus 2 sine square x. Let me write it over here. So 3 plus 2 sine square x, fx is equals to 3 plus 2 sine x the whole thing square. Sine square x, it actually means sine x the whole thing square. There is a particular reason why I'm writing it this way. So now I am on the last part. State the range of f. Now first of all, we can draw the graph of sine, we can do the transformation, we can draw the graph of cos, we can draw the graph of tangent and so on, but we cannot draw the graph of sine square x. So sine square x, this graph, this is out of syllabus. Then how come they are asking this question about the range? That means we have to find a way out. Let me use the value. First of all, there is this value of 0, sine of 0 radians is 0, sine of pi radians is also 0, and sine of pi by 2, a nice angle in the middle, that is 1. So for this particular range, x lying between 0 and pi, these three angles are the decision makers. The 0, the pi, that is this 0, that is this pi, and pi by 2 is in the middle. So now one by one, plug this thing in that equation. So f of 0 is basically 3 plus 2 sine of 0 whole square. This comes out to be 3. F of pi, that is 3 plus 2 sine of pi, the whole thing square, that is also 3. Why? Because sine of 0 is 0. Why? Because sine of pi is 0. So now we know that range cannot be a value. It has to be between two values. This is where the decision maker comes in. That is sine of pi by 2 is 1. So f of pi by 2, because that is a value that's part of the domain, the range of values of x, that is known as domain, 3 plus 2 sine of pi by 2, the whole thing square. That is 3. Let me write a nice 3. 3 plus 2 into 1 square. This comes out to be 5. That means what is the range? The range is fx lies between 3 and 5. 3 was the smallest value. 5 was the largest value. The range is between these two values. Now over here, the question is all done and dusted, quite easily done. But over here, what I have done is that I have given you some extra information. That is, I have drawn this graph 3 plus 2 sine square x on, I think that is the Desmos or the GeoGebra. You can use both of them. And these are nice applications for drawing a graph. So just for fun, this is not required from the syllabus perspective. But if I look at the graph, this is 0, this is 3.14 up till here. So let me just highlight it a bit and let me change the color to green. So now over here, the graph is like this. Just ignore the thickness up till here. So now when the graph is drawn, what is the maximum value? The maximum value is 5. Hold for a second. So what is the maximum value? That is 5. And what is the minimum value? Minimum value is 3. So that is double checked using this graphic calculator. So now there was one question which was, I made a small mistake over there. Let me correct that one. So it's one of the favorites. That's right over here. So focus on this question. This is something extra. November 2014, variant 1-2, question number 11. So I was drawing this graph and it's one of the previous videos with this year and variant. You can double check it. So negative 4 cos half x. So this was 4 cos half x, and by mistake I just worked out with this thing. Then I wrote in the comments that yes, oops, I missed it. So now I'm taking care of that oops. So now this green one, this is negative 4 cos half x. And then it's being raised up by 6 units. It's being raised up by 6 units. So this thing raised up by 6 units. This thing raised up by 6 units. So do double check this thing out. This is October, November, I think 2000 and this is 2014 variant 1-2. 2014 variant 1-2. So this is just uploaded yesterday. So do double check it out and just take care of this. So now this is all done and dusted. Take care, everyone.